I already touched a little bit on why I don't personally like to play the closed guard myself. And a lot of that has to do with, again, having extra space, places to go, places to direct your partner's energy so that it's not sitting directly on top of you. So one of the things that I always think about is wanting to have the angles and the flexibility to get underneath your partner, get around your partner. So for that reason, when I was introduced to the open seated guard, it was something that I really adapted to very quickly. It works for my body, but I've seen it work for a lot of other people's bodies as well. The basic setup of the position is that you are seated on the floor, basically looks like the butterfly guard. You're making a lot of use out of your heels, but it's very important that you sit on the floor at a certain angle, right? Because you need to have the flexibility and also the balance to be able to get underneath your partner, move away, cut out to the side.
Show me what you mean.
So when we start in a position like this, I'm going to be face on with you. The important thing here though is with my setup, I want to make sure that my body is at an angle to the floor, that I'm not sitting at a 90-degree angle. If I'm here and Stefan pushes on my shoulder, I'm going to go all the way back, right? So when I set up this position, I want to make sure that I'm sitting with my head over my knees. My legs also, I'm not flat and flexible here, and I'm also not really narrow. I want to have my knees maybe at about 45-degree angle to the floor on either side. My hooks are active, my hands are already in front, okay? My hands are in front because I'm already prepared to grip fight. I already know from this setup that Stefan's going to try and enter into my guard. So I need to be prepared and ready to deflect all of those grips.
And just to jump back a sec, the reason you're tilting forward is to provide a strong angle that I can push.
Right, you guys saw in the last section that if I frame out like this, it's really hard for Stefan to just push me backwards. Big difference from if I sit up too straight. I think
in fact, that's my main way of passing the butterfly guard or the seated guard. When I'm fighting somebody like you, my first goal is to get you flat on your back and now start to work from here. So that's
right.
What you're trying to prevent.
Exactly. And so what I'm doing by sitting at an angle to the floor is I'm actually keeping this area of my body covered, right? Because I'm protecting it not only with my legs, but also with my hands. So I'm ready for Stefan's shot in.
Okay. What about, isn't it bringing your head closer if I want to try wrapping my hands around to choke you with a guillotine or with a collar choke or something like that?
So I do that a lot as an entry. When I look to pass somebody's guard, if they leave their neck open, I'm going to go look for it, right? Whether it's just to psych them out or if it's actually to take it, I'm looking for this. This is what happens when somebody's hands are on the ground and they stick their neck out, right? That's why you need to have your hands in front of your face, right? If you have everything guarded right here, if you go in for the same grip, I'm going to start grip fighting, right? So I'm protecting my neck with my hands. Your hands always have to keep everything covered. It's really important because it prevents your partner from being able to access your neck. It also prevents your partner from being able to access your body. Also, when I'm seated in this position, as a blue belt, I tried to learn the butterfly sweep and I wasn't very successful. It probably took me 2 years, probably shouldn't have. But part of that was because nobody really explained to me the distance that I had to have my heels at in relation to my butt, right? A lot of people learn and they don't understand the difference between this and this. So when you're playing, you need to sort of find the mid-range, right? I would suggest as an exercise, maybe you extend your legs all the way out, see how far you can go, and see how close you can go. And in those two ranges, find some place in the middle.
The Goldilocks principle.
Exactly, right in the middle, right? You want to find that comfortable area where you have enough momentum and power and swing to shoot your legs out if you need, pull them in, or pull them all the way in so that you can explode out. You don't want to be at a position where you're flat or you have nowhere left to go. The reason why the open seated guard is great is because from this position, I can attack my partner, whether it's forwards or I can more likely go to the side, right? So whether I'm going to look for an arm drag and I'm going to cut out to the side, right? Or if I'm looking to maybe take my partner's grips, trap them, come in and I'm going to go for a butterfly sweep, it gives me a lot of angles and openings. I'm not only just playing with his right and left side, but I'm also playing with the inseam. And this, where my hooks access underneath his body, is where I'm going to generate a lot of power to get underneath you. That's where I'm going to set up a single leg X guard and X guard and look to sweep my partner. So another reason why the open seated guard works really well is because it gives me a lot of control with space management, right? I don't want to allow you to get too close to me or too far away from me. I want to be in control of that. So when I'm here, I'm at a comfortable range with Stefan. But if Stefan looks to stand up to pass, Already here, I'm gonna start getting my guard up a little bit, right? If Stefan starts to take a step in, first thing I'm gonna do is make sure I block his leg, right? Or I'm also looking to start butt scooting, right? The butt scoot, we did this a little bit in the warm-up. You should be comfortable planting your fists on the floor and learning to scoot in or scoot back. And a lot of this comes into play because if Stefan's afraid of my guard and he starts stepping back, I want to be able to scoot in and catch him, right? But if he starts coming at me, I need to make sure that I'm going to be able to come back.
And you're using this hand as a range-finding device.
As a range, and I like to make sure that I'm posting somewhere close to his knee, right? Because from here I can sort of push his leg back and make sure that it doesn't come in closer to me. If his leg comes in really deep, this is where I might find myself in a little bit of trouble because I don't have that much space to move. So if I find myself this close, I want to butt scoot, maybe get my ankle in front, hand in front. Now, if you're in a competitive scenario, you like doing takedowns, or let's say you're even in a self-defense situation, you find yourself on the floor. This is where we make use, again, of a technical stand-up that we went over in fundamental drills, right? So we're here, we want to make sure that we have our faces covered, but we just plant our foot on the floor, we stand up, and either here, I'm ready to strike back, run away if it's a self-defense scenario, maybe kick out, or if I'm in a competitive scenario, from here I can look to smack down, shoot in, go for a takedown. So one of the sweeps I want to start off with is something called the knee push. You have another name for it, I think, Stefan.
The idiot sweep.
The idiot sweep.
You catch somebody with this, they feel like an idiot.
If it doesn't make you feel like an idiot, you at least crack a smile, okay? It's a very simple movement. It's a lot of it's based on timing though, right? And you can actually, like Stefan said, make somebody look pretty ridiculous doing it. But nonetheless, it's really effective for either getting a big towering person to actually fall right over, or if anything, unbalancing your partner so that you can get into a more advantageous position. When I go ahead and I start assuming the open guard position and we start hand fighting, you're having a hard time getting in on me. So a lot of times your frustrated partner is going to go ahead and start to stand up to look to pass your guard. When you get into this position, you have a lot of space here that you're looking to manage, right? I don't want to let Stefan get in too close to me. I also don't want him to get too far away from me. So this is where a lot of the butt scooting motion comes into play. And it looks a little funny, it looks a little crazy. But if Stefan starts backing away from my guard, I'm looking to follow. If he starts coming into my guard, I'm looking to keep away. So what's funny about this sweep is you're kind of tricking your partner into falling into a trap, if you will. And I think the best time that I've ever used this sweep was when I had a student that was running around me and didn't want to get close to my guard, and I was able to keep scooting. And you have a little Asian woman that's chasing down this guy. And what does she do? She hooks her feet behind his ankles, pushes on his knees, and he falls right over, right? So it's a bit of a quirky sweep, if you will, but when you're performing it, the whole idea is the timing of getting your butt scoot in, getting your butt scoot back, and pushing, right? So here in this position again, Stefan's a little bit afraid of my guard. He's not really sure how to enter into it. Maybe he's tried to step in once or twice, and I block him. I come in front here, and then I start butt scooting. So I plant my fists on the mat. I'm looking to bring my butt to my heels, and each time I do this, I'm trying to keep my toes active and hook. So I'm going to widen my step here, right? So I'm planting my fists. I'm going to scoot in, and then my feet are going to come in and out. Once I get here, my feet are just going to be on the back of his Achilles. My hands are going to go on top of his kneecaps, and I'm going to pull my toes towards me, and I'm going to push him backwards. As I stand up, I want to make sure I manage his feet somehow, either hooking on the bottom of the heels or maybe grabbing the pant legs so that he can't plant his feet and sit back up towards me. I think it's important to note, guys, that when you're performing this sweep, it's not always going to look pretty, okay? There's going to be times where you're going to be moving back and forth. You might only even get one hook or one hand's going to be other place, but the idea is persistence, and the real key here is your hooks. If you maintain those hooks and you put them behind your partner's Achilles and their heels, they're bound to step over, trip, fall backwards.
Even if you don't push them.
Yeah, even if you don't push them. It's just something that they have to now be mindful of, right? Because when somebody's trying to pass your guard, most of the time they're concerned with your upper body. They're not thinking that your feet are going to do anything. So it helps confuse them a little bit by not only giving something to think about up here, but also that they have to watch your feet.